My sister was beautiful and smart, effortlessly winning everyone's affection. Next to her, I was just a plain, timid little mouse. How can you even compare yourself to your sister? My parents always said. Mia doesn't look like your sister at all, my childhood friend Leo told me. Then what do we look like? I asked. He sniffed, like a princess and a maid. Until I met Julian, while my parents paraded Mia in front of his family, boasting about how exceptional their eldest daughter was, I hovered on the sidelines, eyeing the frosted sugar cookies on the table. But he bypassed everyone else, pulling me into a tight embrace. Mine, he said. Mia had a delicate heart-shaped face, huge eyes, and porcelain skin. Her lashes were incredibly long, fanning out over her cheeks. Whenever people met her, they'd ask Mom, "Has your kid been in beauty pageants?" Mom would press her lips together in a modest smile. "Oh no, of course not," she'd say, looking incredibly proud. Then I'd call out, "Mom." The stranger would look at my utterly ordinary face, nose running, cheeks chapped red from the cold wind, and blink in surprise. "This is your daughter too?" The corners of Mom's mouth would immediately drop into a flat, neutral line. "Yes, the younger one. Looks like the older one stole all the nutrition in the womb, huh?" They'd joke. Mom would laugh along. "Well, the older one is quite capable." Mia stole my nutrition. Adults threw the joke around casually, but as a kid, I took it to heart. For a long time, I held a grudge against her. Well, maybe not a long time, just 2 or 3 months. Mainly, it manifested in me stealing her fruit. Plump red strawberries, glossy cherries, and pungent, expensive blue cheese. Mom always prepared these high-end snacks specifically for Mia, arranging them on beautiful, large platters. I got whatever scraps were left. After wolfing down my meager portion, the craving would still gnaw at me, so I'd sneak pieces from her bowl. Eventually, my parents caught me. Mia burst into tears. "She's stealing my fruit!" Crying, she looked exactly like the little mermaid from an Andersen fairy tale illustration, dropping pearl tears, pitiful and adorable. I stiffened my neck and shot back. "Well, you stole my nutrition when we were in the womb." "She did not," she sobbed. Did too," I yelled, making faces, my features scrunching up in wild defiance. Next to Mia, I must have looked like a little demon crawling straight out of hell, or some wicked old witch bullying the little princess. Mom was furious and threatened to ground me. "What nonsense are you talking about? It's bad enough you're plain looking, but do you have to be so vicious too?" I scrambled around, dodging her wrath, wailing for mercy. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Mom planted her hands on her hips. "Your sister doesn't owe you anything. If I catch you stealing her things again, I'm docking your allowance for months." Mia didn't steal my nutrition. Then why was she so pretty while I was so plain? I couldn't figure it out. Why did Mom and Dad treat her better? Since I couldn't make sense of it, I decided to ask someone else. Down in the apartment complex's courtyard, Leo and I sat side by side, splitting a grape popsicle. "Do you have a brother?" I asked. He slurped his half. "Yeah, why?" "Does your mom treat him better than you?" "What do you mean by better?" He looked at me. I thought about it. "Like, always passing him the best food at dinner, giving him more fruit, and only signing him for private tutoring." He chewed on that for a second, then shook his head. "No, but isn't getting out of tutoring a good thing?" We exchanged a look. True. Mom had signed Mia up for endless extracurriculars, private piano lessons, etiquette classes, public speaking clubs. Every time she went out, she had to wear fancy little dresses and be perfectly groomed. Every second of her free time was packed. I was different. I could run out and play like a wild thing whenever I wanted. While I was building sandcastles with the neighborhood kids, Mia was stuck in a classroom. Tutoring sounded miserable. Thinking about it that way, Mia was actually pretty pitiful. My resentment vanished, instantly balanced. "You have a sister?" Leo asked. "Yeah." He just gave an "oh" and didn't pry further. The only sound left in the air was the two of us slurping our popsicles. With my bizarre sense of inner peace restored, I stopped throwing tantrums at home. I even started to pity Mia a little. I could play whenever I wanted and had a whole gang of friends. One evening, I lost track of time playing with them. By the time I noticed, the sun had long set and the streetlights flickered on. One by one, anxious, angry, cursing, or gentle parents came and hauled my friends away. Leo was dragged by his older brother, who grabbed him by the collar. They looked a lot alike, though his brother was much handsomer. "Head home soon, Chloe," Leo called back over his shoulder. The noisy playground fell dead silent. It was just me left. So quiet. I looked up at my building, high in the condominium tower. The living room lights were on. Why hadn't Mom and Dad come looking for me? I kicked a small pebble. If Mia had stayed out this late, well, that was impossible. Mom was always with her, shuttling her to her various classes. I could have just walked home, but out of some stubborn, misplaced defiance, I refused to move. I squatted down, drawing cats, castles, princesses, and bows in the dirt. The entire sandbox became my canvas. By the time I covered the ground in doodles, the evening commuters had all returned. Still, no one came looking for me. The streets emptied. My stomach rumbled. A cold gust of wind rustled the trees, sounding like Halloween ghosts crashing through the branches. My spine stiffened. Too terrified to look back, I bolted. I sprinted into the lobby, slammed the elevator button, and pounded on my own front door, as if monsters were snapping at my heels. 3, 2, one more second and they'll get me. I was on the verge of tears. The door swung open. Warm, white light spilled into the hall, instantly banishing the monsters. I was safe. Mom stood there. She gave a little huff when she saw me. "Where did you run off to? Coming back this late? Your dinner is keeping warm in the oven." Still riding the high of surviving my imaginary near-death experience, I just grinned like an idiot. "Thanks, Mom." I swapped my shoes, wolfed down my dinner, and plopped onto the sofa next to Mia. She was watching cartoons. It was a detective show about a stolen ruby with 4 suspects lined up. One of them had a massive, flat face, beady eyes, and a shifty expression. "It's definitely him," I declared. Mia glanced at me, barely bothering to acknowledge my existence. "I bet you," I pressed. "If I win, you give me half your allowance." She ignored me, playing the Ice Queen. I stared at her, eyes wide, until she finally got annoyed and clicked her tongue. "Reason? He just looks like a bad guy." "Oh," Mia deadpanned. "He looks a lot like you." My fury spiked. I was just about to lunge at her when Mom called out, "Mia, time for piano practice." Mia's face immediately fell. She dragged herself toward the piano room, looking utterly miserable. My anger morphed into instant schadenfreude, and I happily turned back to the TV. "Chloe, turn that off. Your sister is practicing. Don't distract her." "Okay," I muttered, muting the TV and continuing to watch in silence. Stupid network. Right when they were about to reveal the real culprit, the screen flashed, "See you next episode." I had to wait a whole week. My resentment was so potent that even Leo noticed. We were swinging on the playground swings, kicking our legs. "Who made you mad this time?" he asked. I ranted about the TV network. "I think it's him too. He looks like a giant rat." We shared a look of profound solidarity and high-fived. Best friends. "Did your mom yell at you when you got back late last time?" I asked. His face filled with envy. "No, your mom is so nice." I didn't say anything. Something about that felt incredibly off. Right then, Mia returned from her extracurricular, probably piano. She was wearing a gorgeous pink tulle dress with sparkly clips in her hair. Mom was holding her hand as they walked in the distance. "Mom, Mia!" I yelled, waving frantically. Mom waved back. "Don't play too late," she called from afar. Mia glanced over her shoulder before following Mom away. When I turned back, Leo's popsicle had dropped into the sand, completely ruined. "What are you doing?" I asked. Leo's mouth hung open. He pointed at Mia's retreating figure. "That's your sister?" "Yeah."
He looked at her, looked at me, then looked at her again. "Are you adopted?" Anger flared in my chest. "You're a giant, stupid pig." He said, still dazed, "Your sister looks like a princess." Honestly, I thought Mia looked like a princess too, but I absolutely refused to agree with him right now. When I ignored him, he added, "You and your sister don't look like sisters." "What do we look like then?" He thought about it. "Like a princess and a maid." What kind of friend says that? I shoved him. He tumbled into the dirt, getting covered in sand. "Hey, I'm just being honest." "Stupid pig," I yelled, running away. "We're not friends anymore." I was so angry I could cry. When I got home, I ripped up the baseball cards Leo had given me into tiny shreds. He was a stupid pig. We were friends. Even if his brother was way cooler than him, I would never say that to his face. Confetti-like scraps littered the floor. Mom caught sight of the mess and immediately laid into me. "Chloe, what are you doing now? Throwing trash everywhere? You have no sense of cleanliness." I argued back while scooping the pieces into the trash can. "Mia spilled soup on the rug last time. Why didn't you yell at her?" "That was an accident." "Mine was an accident too." My emotions bubbled over, tears spilling hot and fast. "So when she does it, it's an accident, but when I do it, it's on purpose?" Mom put her hands on her hips, glaring at me. "Talking back now? Why can't you learn from your sister? She's so much better behaved than you. Stop crying, it's embarrassing." "That's because you never yell at her." Mom let out a harsh laugh. "So now it's our fault?" She moved as if to punish me. I scrambled into my room and slammed the door shut. She didn't follow. A little while later, the front door clicked shut. Mom had taken Mia out again. I dug out a small hand mirror, fuming. Did everyone like Mia just because she was pretty? I'm not that ugly, am I? The mirror reflected a face streaked with tears and snot, smeared with dirt, looking like a miserable bitter melon. I startled myself and quickly tossed the mirror aside. Then I remembered how Mia looked when she cried, literally like a fairy weeping. It was so unfair. A wave of resentment washed over me. Why did Mom make Mia so beautiful? I felt betrayed by the entire universe. My parents favored Mia, and even my own friend abandoned ship the second he laid eyes on her. I decided I was going to become a cold, ruthless person. I'd make them all regret it. The next day at school, Leo tried to say hi. I looked straight ahead, pretending he was invisible. Leo intentionally stepped in my path and waved a hand in my face. "Did you go blind?" "Please do not speak to me," I said coldly. "We are no longer friends." He just laughed. "Are you actually mad?" "Okay, my bad. Stop being mad at me." He pulled a small carton of milk out of his backpack. It had European words I didn't recognize printed on it. "Here, my aunt bought this imported milk. It's super expensive." My mouth watered. At home, the good stuff always went to Mia. Just as I reached out to take it, he pulled out a pink bottle with a strawberry on it. "This strawberry one is for your sister." My hand snapped back. Oblivious, Leo kept going. "The strawberry one is sweet. I bet she'll love it." I didn't say a word, just quickened my pace and sidestepped him. "Chloe, Chloe," he called after me. At dinner, I kept a cold, stone expression. I ruthlessly ate my mac and cheese, ruthlessly dumped my plate in the sink, and ruthlessly sat in front of the TV for cartoons. But no one cared. Mom noticed Mia picking carrots out of her food, but entirely missed my dark, brooding aura. My coldness lasted until the cartoon ended. The real culprit turned out to be the kindly-looking old grandpa, not the shifty-eyed man. Damn it, my underdog bet failed. I guiltily glanced at Mia. She scoffed. My heart bled a little for my wallet. "Fine, a bet is a bet. I'll give you a few dollars for my allowance." "Who wants your few dollars?" she sneered. I hollered into the kitchen. "I need a raise on my allowance." Mom replied, "Your allowance is perfectly fine for buying snacks." "Can't I even get half of what Mia gets?" I tried whining. "Please, Mom." Mom was the real ruthless one. "Your sister plays the piano, gives public speeches, sings, and is on the honor roll. What can you do, Chloe?" I froze. It was true. I couldn't do anything. I wasn't enrolled in any private classes. That's, I mumbled, that's because I haven't learned anything. Do you really think taking a class would magically make you good at it? Mom's expression cooled, shutting the conversation down. All right, Mia, time to practice piano. The melodious notes drifted from Mia's dedicated piano room, accompanied by Mom praising her. Wonderful. I stared blankly at the TV screen, the bright colors blurred into chaotic blobs. Watching cartoons was supposed to be one of my favorite things in the world, but right then I felt incredibly, overwhelmingly sad. I hid under the covers and cried until the damp, stuffy air lulled me to sleep. The next morning, my eyes were swollen shut. I kept my head down, inhaled my breakfast sandwich, and darted back to my room. The doorbell rang, and Mom answered it. "Hello, ma'am. I'm here to see Chloe." It was Leo. I had planned on icing him out for another week, but I hadn't expected him to show up at my front door to beg for forgiveness. Relief washed over me, followed by a smug sense of comfort. Mia never had friends come over to play with. I decided I'd forgive him. Pressing my hands over my eyes, I tried to make the swelling go down faster, but after a long wait, Leo still hadn't called my name. Instead, there was chatting and laughter coming from the living room. I cracked my door open and peeked out. Leo was sitting next to Mia, laughing with an incredibly sycophantic expression, like he was performing stand-up just for her. Mia giggled, which only made Leo grin harder. What the heck? I was furious. Forgiveness revoked. Leo happened to glance my way and gasped, "Chloe, what happened to your eyes?" Mosquito bites," I mumbled. Mia burst out laughing. "Doesn't she look like that big-faced suspect from the cartoon? With her eyes all small like that? It's uncanny." Leo paused a beat, then immediately agreed. "She really does." They both cracked up. Absolute humiliation. "You look like him," I roared. "You two are the ugliest people in the entire world, uglier than pigs." I slammed the door shut. Muffled whispers drifted from the living room. I pulled out my little mirror and studied my face. I don't look that much like him. At worst, he's a giant rat and I'm a little mouse. Little mice aren't even ugly. They have big eyes and tiny noses and mouths. They're kind of cute, actually. I sulked for a bit, then managed to soothe my own ego. When Leo left, Mom ordered me to walk him down to the lobby. I refused, but Mom snapped, "Don't be rude." I escorted him out with a face like thunder. Leo shot me sidelong glances. "Chloe?" I snapped, "Don't come back, and if you do, just say you're looking for Mia. I don't want to be your friend anymore." Leo's temper flared. "Fine, so what if Mia's prettier than you? I'd rather be friends with her anyway." I scoffed, dripping with disdain. "Superficial." "You're the same," he shot back defensively. "You thought that guy with the big flat face was the bad guy just because he was ugly. You're the superficial one." I faltered slightly. Sensing an opening, he pressed his attack. "You're definitely just jealous that your sister is prettier than you." He sounded so sure of himself. "No wonder you never talk about her. Do you bully Mia at home? Huh, Chloe, you're just like the mean girls in the movies." He said it in a joking tone, but in the reflection of the metal elevator doors, his face stretched and distorted, morphing into someone I didn't recognize. I pressed my lips together so hard they hurt. My eyes stung, but I was too drained to cry. Was I jealous? Maybe, but I had never, not once, said a single bad word about Mia to anyone. Never. Leo was my friend. He knew that. I had never complained about her to him. "You're disgusting," I said. Leo froze. He turned his head to look at me. I met his eyes and enunciated every word. "I really regret ever being friends with you. I'm never playing with you again." Realizing I was dead serious, Leo flustered, then lashed out in anger. "Like I care. I'll just be friends with Mia." The elevator arrived. As he stepped out, he glared back at me. "Don't regret." I slammed the closed door button. When I got upstairs, lunch was already on the table. A mountain of food was piled high on Mia's plate. I quickly swapped my shoes, sat down, and started aggressively snatching bites from the shared dishes. Mom glared at me. I swallowed a massive bite and immediately started kissing up. Mom, your roast chicken is amazing. Of course it is, Mom smiled instantly, then placed another piece of meat on Mia's plate. Eat more. I pretended not to notice and kept eating. It didn't matter if my parents loved Mia more. It didn't matter if my friends liked her better. The world was huge. If I just focused on eating, growing up fast, and getting out of here, eventually I'd find someone who liked me a little more. I never spoke to Leo again. If I saw him in the neighborhood, I treated him like a stranger. He didn't end up hanging out with Mia either, because Mia was always busy. My life went back to normal. School, home, playing on weekends, getting scolded by Mom. One Saturday afternoon, Mia surprisingly had no piano practice. My parents dressed up, announcing we were going to a dinner party at someone else's house. Mom wrestled Mia into a beautiful little dress, braided her hair, pinned a sparkly tiara on her head, then glanced over at me. Put on something presentable. I dug out a floral short-sleeve shirt I usually saved for special occasions and clipped a bow into my hair. But Mom wasn't looking at me. She and Dad were already holding Mia's hands, walking out the door. I trailed behind them, checking my reflection in the elevator doors, giving myself a little mental pep talk. I look pretty cute too. We arrived at a massive detached mansion in an upscale suburban neighborhood. Through a pristine private garden, Dad chatted with a gentleman while Mom held Mia's hand, proudly introducing her to an elegant woman. This is my daughter, Mia. She plays the piano, does public speaking. Her teachers say she's incredibly gifted. Hello, ma'am, Mia greeted sweetly. The woman smiled and patted her head. I stood to the side, waiting for Mom to introduce me, but Mom seamlessly pivoted, asking, "And where is your son?" The woman's smile faltered slightly, looking a bit strained. "He's upstairs. He should be down soon. He doesn't talk much." "Perfect. The kids are around the same age. They can play together," Mom offered cheerfully. The woman just smiled. Nobody paid any attention to me. I resorted to eyeing the cookies on the coffee table. They were stamped with colorful English words and looked delicious. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the stairs. Someone was coming down. I instinctively looked up. That was the first time I saw Julian. In my limited worldview, Mia was already beautiful, but Julian was prettier than her. The boy looked like white porcelain kept in a display case.
Should you wish to read more of the story, please click the link below or download the app. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment below.